Welcome back, peeps. Are you guys ready? Because in this video, we're getting that power station completely assembled from the floor all the way up to the ceiling. And I'm also going to share with you the decision I made on all our batteries and electronics like we discussed last week. You ready? Let's get this. And at the time of recording this video, Saturday, February 20th, 2021, it's my birthday. Can you guys guess how old I am? I'll give you a clue. It's less than 90 and it's more than 16. Comment below, let me know what you think. It's almost like an open book test because if you followed our Sunday stories where we were talking about our whole plan on how to get a van and what we're gonna do, you'd already know this answer. So it's quite easy. So let's start this off by telling you what the decision I made based on our electronic components, because this has to be made now when we're building this. I'm going for it. We might as well go for the best of the best if we're gonna document this and build ROAMR the way we're building ROAMR. Because if you're gonna go for broke, you might as well do it right, and you only live once. You can't take it with you. So let's do this, my friends. Now, how I'm actually gonna afford it, I haven't actually figured that part out, but we'll get there. We always do. Things always seem to work out, as long as you put your heart into it and do the steps that need to be done. So the first advantage to choosing this new Victron setup that we're doing are the actual batteries themselves. So if you remember last week, I made these cardboard cutouts, which are templates of the lithium batteries we're gonna use. And when I made these, I planned on using battle-born batteries, which come in this envelope dimension and are 100 amp hour batteries. Which meant for me to have 400 amp hours of battery, I needed to have 4 batteries in our location here, which was gonna pose some serious issues with hooking our wires together because they're so compact into there. Yes, I did see your comments and I didn't answer them for this exact reason. Because now with the new Victron setup, we only need 2 of those boxes in here, which opens up a whole new world of possibilities for us. Now, unfortunately, making the decision on these new batteries is creating more work for me because going from these 100 amp hour batteries to a 200 amp hour Victron battery, they are not the same size as each other. But making lemonade out of lemons, as they say, we have an absolute excess of boxes in this place. And something you're gonna be challenged with if you're building your own van as well. Because I fill one of those recycling carts that we have once a week just on boxes for the van build. It's absolutely insane. So at least we get to use some of those up to build ourselves new boxes. And now we can compare the 2 batteries between Battleborn and the Victron. And look how close they are in size. To an honest fact, I probably didn't have to make second boxes because these are so close together. It's unbelievable. And to think, this is 200 amp hours and this is only 100 amp hours. How the heck does Victron even do this? The new technology. And I've gone back and I've double checked the size of these things because it just didn't make sense to me. I was really debating and I didn't want to put out false information, but I've checked and double checked and triple checked. And this is the exact size of that 200 amp hour Victron battery. So if you're debating, this is a Battleborn, this is a Victron. And the price goes according as well. You typically pay about $1,000 for a Battleborn and you're gonna pay about $2,000 for the Victron. So you're paying $10 an amp hour, no matter which way you look at it, my friends. Which also means I can change this frame design on the backside from looking like this to looking like this, where I've lowered the backside down significantly because now that we only need 2 batteries, we can slide this one in right here, and we can slide this one in right here, and we got a lot more room to start building our cabinet upwards because all our electronics are gonna face the back of the seat here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put our subfloor in with plywood and build this all the way up, and then we'll cut back in and talk about our inverter charger, solar controller, and all that kind of good stuff that we built out of cardboard as well. I should also take this spare moment to thank all the people that donated to the Dares Drives channel. You're sponsoring the Van Life Fund, my friends, and it's all going directly back into ROAMR and the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Do I name names? I don't know. You guys know who you are. And here we are, a week later. It's now Saturday, February 27th, and we've gotten like 8 bars in. But this is like structure part of the build, and it took a lot of planning to make sure everything was gonna fit in exactly as I planned it to, so we have room for all of our electronics and still be able to maximize on this side, because this is actually going to be like, open it up and actually have a closet where you'll be able to hang stuff in. And yes, I see your guys' comments as well saying, great build, please just hurry up, rah, rah, rah. But I've said it before, I will not sacrifice quality just for quantity. I did not start a YouTube channel just to throw as much stuff out there as possible, just to get some views. I want to deliver value, and that means quality work, which might take me a little longer to get a video out to you guys, but hopefully it brings more value and helps you down the road. And if I'm putting something on YouTube showing you how I did it, I gotta make sure it's 100%. There is no half-assing something like this. And myself, when I'm doing things like this, I'm the type of person who likes to set it all up, look, and then take a little bit of time to think about what I've done, because usually I'll come back and just change it by a couple centimeters, which changes the whole design and overall usage of the space we have. And this 80/20 is absolutely perfect for that, because you can literally put it in place, bolt it down, and then you can move it just like just a hair and tighten it back down again, and you'd be amazed at what that 1 millimeter space does on either side of a cabinet in making usable space. Where if you did this with wood, you wouldn't be able to do that, because you couldn't put another hole right beside that. It would A, start looking sloppy, B, the two holes start meshing into each other, and you just don't get a tight fit, which of course down the road it's gonna fall apart on you. But the good thing is once this complicated thing is finished, we got a whole bunch of other jobs that are supposed to be easy. Should only take half hour, as they say. We'll see how that goes. So hit that subscribe and hit that bell and follow us along, my friends, because I'm going to continue to do exactly what we're doing. Take our time, work on the quality, and we will get finished. And hopefully by then, we'll have some more freedoms. But let's get back to building. So we need to build a wall into this piece right here, flat across with the curve of that wall. So once we put some 1/2-inch plywood in here, we'll be able to mount all of our electronic components right to that by screwing into the 1/2-inch wood. So to get this shape, first off, as you can see, I've taken 2x2 wood, cut it down, just so we can have a spot to mount to, right up against the edges of the walls. Just glued and screwed is all we did inside there. I didn't record any of that because really, that's not the important part of this video. Now, to make a template of this wall first, before we start cutting our actual wood, I'm gonna use this corrugated plastic type stuff. So instead of cardboard on this, I decided on the corrugated plastic because of the fact that it doesn't have any bends. It's a little more rigid. We'll see if that works any better. It is a lot more expensive than just using cardboard, I'll say that. So, you're probably not going to be able to see anything because it's a big white board. I don't even know how to record. I'm feeling just floored. What? And then there's... Oh. So I made it the maximum width from the bottom to there, because that's the widest part of this whole piece. As you can see, it curves up this way. But it doesn't actually go in. So as you see now, it's really hard to share, but I got it pinned just to hold it in place here against this wall. So I put it on the outside wall because it won't fit in there as a square piece. I put it on the outside wall, get it lined up here, and we'll just slowly trim it out until we get it close. And once we have this plastic roughly fit in, we can now take a couple big washers and using some tape, fit our felt pen into the center of them. We can now roll this along our seam and get a perfect contour line on our stencil. We then trace that onto our wood and cut it out and fit it all back into place. That's tight. Frick yeah, bud. Do you see that? Look how nice that looks. Yes. We don't even have a bolt in it yet, and it's solid. Like, and that doesn't even have a screw in it yet. Nice, look at that. It's taken a while, but it's coming, and it's gonna be sweet. And now that we know that our wood fits perfectly, we'll bring it back into the garage and use our melamine paint and our airbrush and paint all of these panels white, just like we did on all our doors and everything like that. And paint is just one of those things that you cannot rush. If you want perfection, it takes patience. But once we've waited the allotted time they recommend for this paint, look how good it looks on top of this wood. Absolutely impressive. You'd almost think we put like a melamine panel over the top of our laminate panel. It's that hard to the touch. And because of this smooth, hard surface, it's very easy to just take a damp cloth, to wipe it down, and keep it looking nice and new all the time. Now this paint itself does recommend 24 hours for a full cure to be able to work with and touch it. I've waited about 30. That's only because I've done a lot of painting in my times. And even if you wait that 24 hours, once you start manhandling this, or sorry, person handling this, as you're holding on to the pieces and trying to get them into place, the longer you hold on to them, you'll end up leaving a fingerprint behind if you don't wait long enough. So I always go a little bit over that time just to ensure, because there'd be nothing worse than putting all this work into making sure all your cuts are right, just to put it together and somebody's like, oh, it looks great. What's with that fingerprint on it though? Now to mount these to our framing, if we flip the board over, you'll see that we made these marks on the backside when we did our dry fit. This is where the frame lines up with this board. So we'll take some of our PL glue, just put it down along those markings. And then we also made some brackets. So we took some of our 1.5" angled aluminum, cut them into 4" sections. And then we put one bolt hole on one side that'll bolt into the framing. And we put 3 smaller countersunk screw holes on the other side that'll screw right into the back of these panels, so we have a screw-free look on the front side. So once we slide this all into place, and now being very careful we don't touch any of the glue at edges, just slide her down in. She's tight. And the screws we used are number 8 by 1/2 inch, and I do dip them into a little bit of PL before installing them, just for some added security. Then on the back we got the braces set into their places, and it's solid. They're all bolted into the extruded aluminum, screwed in through the back of the wood, and up here where the seam is, we got one bolt on the other side, and that bracket holds those 2 pieces together to give it a nice clean look up here. And you'll also notice down here I put a little hole in the side, and that's just so we have this wire, which is our shore power wire, and then we have this wire, which is our 15 amp wire coming off of our furnace that goes straight to our battery right here. But we'll get to that stuff in time. Right now, let's finish this up. So now, before I install all of our cardboard designed electronics, I need to finish this wall real quick, and I'm going to go through this super fast. So I'm going to take some 2x2s, which are 1.5 by 1.5 inches. I'm going to screw them right to this wall, and then we're just going to take a 3/8 piece of plywood, paint it white, and mount it right to that, and bada bing bada boom, there it is, my friends. That took way longer than it should have. I'm on like week number 3, I think, of trying to get this completed, but it's there, and it looks freaking awesome. It's really hard to show you on the camera because, well, it's super white, and because of that being so bright, I just can't control the light. But if you'll notice, what I want for is I wanted to have a completely screw-free look on the inside of this, and it's safe to say that it worked out freaking perfect. I didn't go into a lot of details of it because I was really just practicing for the spots that are going to be visible, because this area, once this is closed off with a front face on this and everything, you're really not going to be able to see inside there as an average person. Unless I invited you in, push the seat forward, and let you look inside there, you're not really going to see anything in there. But now it's time for the fun stuff, which is the electronics. Now, of course, you guys know I do not own the electronics as of right now. So I've had to do some non-engineering CAD, some cardboard aided design, in which I'm going to say this project kind of got away on us a little bit, and now we got a huge mess to clean up. But it's just part of the process of trying to make videos for everybody. So let's start with the batteries right here. So, as mentioned earlier, these batteries are going to slide right in here and sit on top of our plywood floor that we put in. And once we got them in place, you can see they slide right down in. And then I've made this bracket across here that we just loosen off. It'll come down, secure against the batteries. And bada bing, bada boom, once we push that down in place, everything's held tight. Now, once we have the full batteries in, so I have the exact dimension, because these, you know, they do have a tolerance. They're non-engineered CAD drawings. Once we have the actual batteries though, we'll have stoppers on the front and the back, so they can't slide forward or back, and this will stop them from being able to move upwards. So now, I totally just dropped you again. I hope you're working properly. This camera's being a trooper. It's barely holding on. It's like, oh my God, I'm getting scared about this thing. And now a drop like that. Whew, and you almost didn't turn back on that time. That was freaking scary. Anyways, let's discuss the products we're gonna be putting in today and dry fitting, because although as you'll see, there's a big list of items composing of fuses and wires and battery protect switches, all that kind of stuff. But all I wanna do is make sure the big items are gonna fit in. So the first one we're gonna talk about is the Victron Lynx. And this is where all our power cables are gonna come into and distribute out of. So this item here is gonna fit right above our batteries, kind of in this area right here. Down below it, there will be a couple battery protect switches, but they're just tiny. We're not gonna worry about that in the dry fit. And this is gonna keep it nice and close to the batteries so we get as short of run as possible, because keeping those wires short just makes them way more efficient and less heat. Next item we have up is our Victron 3000 watt inverter charger. So before we had an inverter in which we had to buy a separate charger so we could plug it into the shore power. So if we're plugged into a house or anything like that, it can charge our batteries from 110 volt power, or even a generator for that matter. Now with the Victron, it becomes all one solid unit just like this, and we're gonna fit this right above our Lynx system, just kind of like that. I don't know if that's gonna stay. Oh, everything's falling now. Oh yeah, we'll start over. Come on, just stay, please. No, you're not gonna do it, eh? Just stay in place for me, please. Only a couple minutes while I record this. Okay, so now we got the Lynx. They just don't want me to finish this video. That's the problem, peeps. Let's try this and hope it doesn't wreck our paint that we put on there. So I'm gonna put some little hot glue. And guys, this is literally just for the video, because I've already held this all up in place and know it all works. So the inverter goes right here. Just making sure we have enough room that all our cables can come out the bottom and still hook into everything. And last but not least is our solar controller. So this is an MPPT 100/50, so it's a 50 amp solar charge controller. And it is going to attach right above a 3000 watt inverter. And now we can see that all of our blue products fit in just perfect. And now you might ask about a DC to DC charger, which means so it can plug into our alternator of our van, and as it's running can charge our batteries. And yes, it's about the same size as this item right here, so it would fit in either right here or right above it, no problem at all. But according to the people we're working with on our battery system, it's not needed with this new setup because it all is in there. So we don't need a separate box for our DC to DC charging. Now there are a bunch of other items like our blue seat fuse panel that's gonna go up here. That's a 12 pin one. We're actually gonna have two of them side by side. Our blue C on off switch. So this is the master power switch. And it's actually gonna be behind this wall. See if I can show you that. There is gonna be like a wall right here that'll open. And this will be behind there, where we can have an on-off switch that's directly from our batteries. So if we have an issue, we can shut it directly off from here. As well as we'll have another one of those mounted up higher, which is gonna be our on-off for our solar charge controller. If you're in the sun, those wires are always gonna have voltage going through them. So if you wanna do any type of work on the solar controller, you do need to shut off before that. So you can shut it off, and then you can do work on the actual solar controller while you're still in the sunlight. But those are all things we're going to discuss in the future when we actually have the real electric components and start setting that up. So if you want to see more, hit that subscribe. If you've already subscribed, hit that bell. But what I want to show you before you go is right up here where our control panel is going to be. Now for the display to our power unit, everything's going to be housed up in this top section right here. So the first thing we have is part of our Victron setup is what they call the GX touch display. So this is a touch screen which tells us all where our voltage is coming from, how much voltage we're using, where it's going, and we can flip through it on a touch screen right there. Nothing like putting some new high-tech technology inside of our van, right? Next, beside that, is our Rixon's heater setup. So you guys already seen this display, been following along, and that's gonna fit in right beside the touch display unit, so they're both nice and compact up high. Now in this area here, right below it, we have 6 little switches like this. And these little switches are gonna fit perfectly right underneath here. This is gonna be so we can turn on all our different lights, our pumps, and all those kind of things. 6 different switches are gonna fit down below here. And then last but not least, we have our switch that's for our lift bed. Now it won't fit in this area, so we're gonna move it up over to here, and that's where our lift is gonna push to put the bed up, or push to put the bed down. Pretty straightforward stuff, but I wanted to show you how all that came together and worked with the whole power system that we just put in place. And the good news is everything fits perfect, and we're ready to move on to the next project, my friends. And last but not least is the wiring. As you see, we have a gap here, okay? So each wire is gonna come down over the top and feed down through here so they can come down, and wherever it mounts on this side, we'll have a hole where the wire will come through, join into where it's going, and then go back out, so that on the face of this, when you see all this blue stuff down here, you'll only see wires come out where they need to be, and then back in, because all the actual wire runs will be down the back side, and we'll cover this off so you'll not be able to see it when we go into that closet. But the good news is it all fit like we planned. I am super stoked about that, and that's all I need to do. I just needed at this point to make sure that we can make our battery cabinet as small as possible and still get all our parts in there and have room to hook the wires up and so on and so forth. And it's a win. We were successful. And the good news is that now I can move forward, and we're gonna face some of the walls, we're gonna finish the bathroom, we're gonna do the ceiling. And as mentioned earlier, these videos should happen a lot quicker than this one in particular, because there was just those fine little details that I needed to make sure were perfect. And even though this back wall, you're not gonna see it at all, in the same breath, I know in my head, it's perfect. You can't see a screw, you can't see anything, it's clean. So now we're at the point of the video where, if you haven't subscribed yet, maybe consider doing so. No pressure, of course, you do you. If you have subscribed, thank you, thank you, thank you. Maybe consider hitting that bell, and we will see you on the next video. Perfect.